Balancing business and life. Sounds like a dream, right? But how do you actually make it work without feeling overwhelmed? In today's episode, I'm sharing my journey to mastering productivity and creating balance, even with the demands of running a business. One of the most impactful changes I've made is switching to a 4-day work week, and it's been a total game changer. I'm going to share how this system has helped me stay efficient and focused while creating more freedom in my life. Then I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my incredible experience at Podfest, a game changing event filled with workshops, connections, and lessons I can't wait to pass on to you. By the end of today's episode, you're going to be ready to take action and create more freedom in your own life. And don't miss out on the free resource that I created for you that I'm going to share at the very end. Welcome to She is Unstoppable, the podcast for ambitious women ready to break free from the 9-to-5 and build a life and business they love. I'm your host, Deanna Hins, digital marketing strategist, entrepreneur mentor, and a woman who took the leap from corporate life to full-time entrepreneurship and never looked back. I've been where you are, and now I'm passionate about showing you how to build and scale a business that works for you. In each episode, we dive into actionable tips, inspiring stories, and real strategies to help you grow your business, boost your confidence, and create unstoppable momentum. Whether you're just starting out or ready to elevate to the next level, you're in the right place. Let's get started. So let's talk about this most impactful change that I made, and that was switching to a 4-day work week. It's been over a year now, and I've learned so much about how to stay efficient and focused. But I want to take you back to 2023. During this time, I was working a typical 5-day work week. I think that's being kind of generous, honestly, because I was always working. I would sit at my computer, start working, lose track of time. And there were times I was actually working 6 and 7 days a week. And the reason is I love what I do. So time would go by quickly and I really didn't care. I didn't really notice how much I was working until I wanted to take a couple weeks off. My husband and I wanted to go to Italy, and we were going to go for 2 weeks. Now, I had never taken 2 weeks off. In fact, I've never really left my business because even when I travel, my laptop comes with me. So I never fully unplug. And I was really nervous about how am I going to do this? How am I going to manage my clients, get things done, answer their questions when they email or call, and be in another country that the time difference was so different that when they're up, I'm going to be sleeping and vice versa. So how do I make this happen? And I really had no idea whatsoever what I was going to do. I was super nervous. I made a couple changes in my business where I reached out to a friend who also has a digital marketing agency and gave her access to all of the websites that I host just in case something went wrong. She would be able to fix it. Luckily, nothing went wrong, but that was my backup plan. And I told my customers that I was going to be unavailable for 2 weeks. And the response was something I wasn't expecting, couldn't quite believe, but it was encouraging. They said, "Yeah, you deserve this. Go. We get it." So it was a really great response, but that doesn't mean that I still wasn't nervous. Went to Italy, spent 2 weeks there, came back, and guess what happened? Absolutely nothing. Everything continued to work as it should work. All the systems were in place. My customers understood. My customers were patient and there were no emergencies. And if there would have been an emergency, I had somebody in place to handle that for me. So after that, I started thinking about how nice that was to unplug and enjoy Italy and enjoy all the experiences and to be present, 100% present in what I was doing. And why couldn't I do that on a regular basis? So in the beginning of 2024, I made the decision that I wanted to try a 4-day work week. Now, even though I had this experience for 2 weeks, this was something really different because this was something that was changing my normal work schedule. And that was really scary because the things that I kept asking myself were, what if I can't get everything done? Could I get everything done in a 4-day work week? Because right now I'm working definitely 5 days, some days 7 days. Is it even possible to put it all into 4 days? And then my second big question and concern was, how would my clients handle that? Would they get upset because I'm not there on the traditional 5-day work week? Because they don't have access, would I lose customers and they would go somewhere else where there was a traditional 5-day work week because I have that one extra day where they can contact me? They're the person who's marketing for them, right? So I really didn't know. I was really nervous, really scared about doing it. But I also thought, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. So I started to implement this 4-day work week. And a year later, I'm still doing a 4-day work week. And just like that trip to Italy, nothing skipped a beat. There were no concerns. I didn't lose clients. What happened was that I actually got more efficient. So was it possible to push or to cram everything in a 5 to 7 week into 4-day work week? The answer is absolutely yes. So I realized that there was a lot of fluff in my days and I wasn't as efficient as I could have been. So now with a 4-day work week, it forces me to be more efficient. So I want to share with you how I structure my work days to get the most productivity out of myself and to get more done in less time. Now, this is just my schedule. It doesn't mean that it has to be your schedule. If this is something you're thinking about doing, I'm just going to share what I do. So I work Monday to Thursday. I have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. So on Monday, that day is my day to just kind of go through everything. But my priority on that day are my digital marketing clients. So anything that needs done with my clients happens on Monday, and it also happens on Wednesday. Those are the 2 days that are client based. So what do I do those other 2 days? Well, on Tuesday, that's on my content creation day. So those are the days that I'm creating content for myself. I'm also creating things like lead magnets or email marketing, newsletters, or funnels, things like that. That's what I'm working on Tuesday. On Thursday, it's all about my podcast and also revenue generating tasks, right? So my podcast is a revenue generating piece of my business. So I work on that on Thursdays. Now you might be thinking, how can you get all that done? Because people ask me all the time, like, Deanna, you do so much. You've got the marketing that you do with clients. You've got She Is Collective where you're working with them one-on-one. You've got courses that you offer. You have a podcast. Like, how do you do it all? Well, I do have help. I do have a virtual assistant and she helps me with some of the things. Like, she helps me with some social media content and she also helps with some of my podcast editing. So I don't have to deal with some of the tasks that are a little bit time consuming for me. I've got somebody in place who can do that. And that allows me to focus on actually recording and doing the tasks in my business that are really important to generate more revenue. I also found that by doing it this way, I can stay focused. So, for example, on Monday and Wednesday, I know that I'm working with my clients and it's all client work. So, in my brain, the way that my brain's wired, I don't have to jump from client work to recording a podcast with a guest to then get back into the frame work or frame of mind to start working on clients' work again. I can just stay in that zone and focus and do what I need to do. And I am so much more productive when I do it that way. Now, you may be different. So you may look at this and say, well, you know what, Deanna, I would rather schedule my client work in the morning. 4 days a week in the morning, and then in the afternoon, schedule this, and then schedule this. That's okay. You can do it any way that you want to do it. It's entirely up to you. What works best for you. It's not what works best for me. My current schedule is what works best for me. And I will tell you that I did try doing the morning, in the morning doing certain tasks, all client work, and then skipping to doing different things in the afternoon and then late afternoon. And for me, it didn't work. That doesn't mean it won't work for you. What it means is that we're all different. And so you have to find the schedule that works best. But a 4-day work week has allowed me to have one extra day in the week to be intentional, to do things I either need to do in my personal life or things that I want to do. And you know what? Remember that concern I said that I had about my customers and maybe they wouldn't be happy? They're okay with it. They don't mind. I've never had a complaint. In fact, I had somebody reach out to me that was a fairly new client, and I didn't respond to her on Friday. I responded to her on Monday and explained that, I probably didn't share my schedule with her, which I didn't. And I told her my work week was Monday through Thursday. I was actually off on Friday, and that's why I didn't respond to her email. And the response was, oh my God, I love that. I'm trying to do that in my business too. That's great. She completely understood. And I think that that's kind of where we're going, honestly. I think people are going to be more intentional with their time. And when they're working, they're focused on working. So one of the things that I think is important is that if you're going to do 4-day work weeks, you've got to have some sort of go-to strategy for staying focused during those hours so that you can be more efficient. So one of the things, as I said, is if you have a VA, give the VA some of those little tasks that take up a lot of time, and it really doesn't matter if you do it or if somebody else does it. Now, if you don't have a VA, that's okay. You can still do it, but prioritize your day as far as what's the most important thing to get done. And one of the things that I look at is what's revenue, what's generating, I'm having a hard time talking today, what's generating revenue for me right now. And that's what gets done first. And then I go into the other tasks. Well, I also set up blocks when I do this. And this is when I have a very intense day of working and I know I'm going to be sitting in front of my computer the entire day because I have things that I need to get done. And I'll set up little blocks and it's 25 minutes of working with a little bit of a break. And then I come back and 25 minutes of working on that same project again, take a little break, and then I come back. And for me, this works because it keeps me focused. And sometimes, honestly, I skip the little break between the 225s and I just go straight through and then get up and walk around and take a little break. The reason that works for me is because it keeps me in that zone, but it also lets me step away from my computer. Maybe I go for a little walk, which also helps with creativity. And then I come back and I feel refreshed. Now, if I take off too much time, then it feels like, this is so heavy to get back into. So for me, it's 5 to 10 minutes to walk away and then come back, but you may find something different. And that's how I set myself up for success every single day. I have my list. I use Asana. I put my tasks in there that I need to get done, and they are prioritized from the very first thing that I need to do to the least important thing that I need to do. And there's something about checking off those items in Asana that's a lot of fun. And it probably goes in line with the little unicorns that fly across the screen. And if you've never used Asana, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I get joy in checking things off my list. Now, let's wrap up some things. And I want to share with you my Podfest experience. This is the first one I went to ever. And the reason I'm sharing this is because there was a time where I may not have taken the time off of my work week to go to something like this or to spend time on investing in myself because I felt that my workload was so heavy and that I had to focus on my clients, that if I focused on myself and invested in myself and invested in learning, that it was taking time away from my clients. Now, today I know that's not true. Today I know that the 4-day work week that I've implemented helps me stay efficient. I know that I can adjust my schedule so that I can do that. And I also know that there is a huge importance in investing in yourself, in investing in your education and connecting with other people. But so that's why I want to share with you about podcasts or Podfest. Podfest, if you don't know, it is this amazing conference and it's for podcasters on all levels. And they have so many different tracks. But beyond the learning that happened there, the connections were incredible. And I am so glad that I stayed there. It was here in Orlando and I stayed in the hotel. I had completely immersed myself in it for 4 days and had the best time. But aside from having such a great time, I learned so much. So why was Podfest such a big deal to me? I had never gone there before. And thank you, Buzzsprout, for the ticket. I appreciate that because they sent me a ticket to go. I did go. And I don't know if I would have otherwise because this podcast that I do has typically been just fun for me. Yes, it ties in with my business. It ties in with digital marketing, which goes in line with Carbon Silk. And then it also is for women entrepreneurs, which ties in with She Is Collective, which is my membership group for women entrepreneurs. But the way that I saw this podcast has always been, I just want to bring value to my friends, my fans, my circle, right? Women entrepreneurs. I want them to find value. And if I was able to talk to other people that had all the answers to what I know to be questions for women entrepreneurs, then I can help them. And that was really the only basis for this podcast. But when I went, I learned a lot. I learned about this podcast and how I can really tie it in with my business. Beyond that, the connections that I made. I met some incredible people, not all podcasters. Most of them were podcasters. Some of them provided a service for podcasters. All had their hands in some way in digital marketing, which is totally my tribe. When I meet people who are in digital marketing, I love talking to them and just we share ideas. And there's this energy that happens that is just really cool. But those individuals that I met, I really think are going to have a long-term impact on my business. And the reason that I say that is because they shared ideas, I shared ideas, and their collaborations happened. And I don't think that was the end of seeing this group of people. I really believe that we're going to connect again more often. And the things that I learned, I've already started to implement in my business, and it feels really good. So anyhow, stepping away from my regular routine to immerse myself into Podfest just really refreshes my perspective on why it's so important to balance life and work. And yes, I realized that going to Podfest was kind of more on the work side, but it also was very different than sitting behind my computer all day. And I highly recommend a 4-day work week if you're able to make it happen. I have seen the benefits, and it's something that I'm continuing to do this year and hopefully next year as well. So thank you all for tuning in to this episode of She Is Unstoppable. I hope my tips for balancing business and life, along with my Podfest experience, have inspired you to take action and create more freedom in your life. Now, don't forget, I mentioned at the beginning that I have a free resource for you, and I have a weekly productive planner just for entrepreneurs. It's packed with tools to help you plan, prioritize, and crush your goals every single week. So look below in the show notes. There is a link to it. It's also on my freebie page, which is deannahins.com/freebies. You can download it there. Now, if you love this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with another entrepreneur who could really use a boost. I can't wait to connect with you next week. Until then, remember, you are unstoppable. Thank you so much for tuning in to She is Unstoppable. I hope you're walking away today feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to take bold action in your business and life. Remember, the world needs your unique gifts and talents, so don't hold back. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs this message. And hey, let's keep the conversation going. Join me inside the She Is Collective, where unstoppable women like you come together to grow, connect, and thrive. Until next time, keep dreaming big, showing up boldly, and creating a business that fuels your freedom. You've got this, because she is unstoppable.